Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Her Story podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hi, my name is Jane Brosseau, and my family and I live in Southwest Washington, just across the bridge from Portland, Oregon. And I am a mom of 10 kids. Yes, they're all mine. They're all singles, and they're all loved. Just to tell you a little bit about me and my background, I am an only child and grew up always wanting to have siblings and a lot of people in my house. And when I met my husband, he wanted to have lots of children as well. So we didn't put a number on it and just were excited to start a family. And I never would have imagined that I would be sitting here with 10 kids. So it's pretty amazing. I am 45 years old. My oldest child is 18 and my youngest is 3. We have 6 girls and 4 boys. And as you can imagine, our house is loud and messy and chaotic and amazing. A little bit about my pregnancies. I think that there is a misconception with large families that people think, oh, you must get pregnant easily. Your pregnancies must be really easy. Why would you keep doing this? And I'm actually have had HG, hyperemesis gravidarum, in 7 out of my 10 pregnancies. And what that is it's extreme nausea and vomiting that lasts through part or all of the pregnancy. And that started with my 4th pregnancy. And at the time, my dad had just recently passed away from stage 4 lung cancer. And it was really sudden and fast. And I found out a week after his funeral that I was pregnant. And that was something that really was a hopeful thing. And then very quickly, I got really, really ill and required lots of medical intervention as far as IVs for hydration and medicine pumps, because I was just so nauseous and vomiting all the time. And honestly, I thought that it was grief. I thought that I was grieving him and it just manifested itself physically. And about halfway through the pregnancy, I was diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarum and then proceeded to have that through the remainder of my 7 pregnancies. So why would we do that? It was something where having a larger family was something that I really wanted. And it was something that we didn't enter into lightly every time that we decided to add a baby to our family. But it was something that we really wanted to do. Something else that I'm not sure lots of people talk about is that I also experienced perinatal and postpartum depression. When you have HG or something like that during your pregnancy, it's not only physically debilitating, but it's also mentally and emotionally debilitating. Just being sick day in, day out, even though you know that it is going to come to an end, it's just really hard emotionally and mentally. So I had perinatal depression during my worst HG pregnancies. And then after my 9th baby was born, at about 4 to 6 months after, I just realized that I didn't feel like myself and I couldn't quite pinpoint what it was or what was going on, but I felt numb and I felt like I was going through the motions. I really felt like I was on autopilot. And yes, I know I had 9 kids. I had a husband that traveled, but things just didn't add up. And thankfully, I had a couple of fateful conversations with friends who had also gone through postpartum depression. And I was able to meet with a nurse practitioner who took me seriously and didn't just say, oh, you're tired because you have a new baby and other children that you're taking care of. And I got medication, and it was really amazing, the difference between how I felt before and after. And our 10th baby was a surprise, a wonderful surprise. And I decided to stay on the antidepressants during that pregnancy. And that did make a difference, especially with having HG during the pregnancy. So, and something else that I would like to share about our family is we had originally lived in Washington, D.C., outside Washington, D.C., in Northern Virginia for pretty much all of our married life. We'd lived there for 16 years, excuse me. And then during the pandemic, we kind of went a little COVID crazy and decided to see if the grass was greener on the West Coast. So in about a month, in the summer of 2020, we packed up our family and our dog, and we drove across the country to a place that we had never been or seen. We'd heard great things about it, and we just took a huge leap of faith. So now we're on the West Coast. We've been here for 2 years and are still trying to figure out if the grass is greener on the West Coast. It's literally greener because of all the rain that it gets. But it's been a really amazing experience to have grown up and lived on the East Coast and then moved to the West Coast. There are wonderful things about both areas. So it's been great to explore and really push our comfort levels and things like that. So now back to a little bit about me. I was not on social media at all until 5 years ago when my 9th was born. And I was really looking for an outlet. I was looking to connect with other moms. Sometimes being a large family mom can feel like you're on an island. I'm surrounded by people all day long, little people. But I just didn't feel like I was making the connections that I wanted. So I got on social media and started to meet amazing moms all over the world, not just large family moms, with one child and 5 children. And it was just amazing to form that community. And I'm happy to say that a lot of the people that I met 5 years ago are still part of my online community. And it also led to some really fantastic opportunities for me. And I started to write articles on parenting and motherhood and some of the things that I had gone through with my HG experience and with having perinatal and postpartum depression, and lessons that I had learned as a large family mom. So it's been a really amazing experience. And now I get to be a part of the Her Story Circle, which is just something that is, I think, amazing. And I think when I first got on social media, I was under the impression that I needed to make everything look perfect and curated. And I quickly realized that that was not something that I wanted. And I made a vow to myself that I would keep things as authentic and real as I could, with still keeping my children's privacy intact, and really began talking about how messy and hard motherhood is. It's amazing, but it is really hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. And I think that you can hold space for both of those things. You can say motherhood is amazing and it's hard. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And I really have found that resonates with moms. We don't want to see perfect, curated accounts and feeds about motherhood. We want to see the messy parts. We want to see what's happening with you is the same thing that's happening with us. We want to see that we're not alone in this journey. So that's been something that I really have appreciated, and something that I really wanted to carry throughout my account. And I'm happy to say that 5 years later, I'm still posting about the messy and the hard and the amazing parts of motherhood. And something that I think I would like to expand on is some of the lessons that I've learned as a large family mom. And I think that they can really be applied to all sizes of family, whether you have one child or more. And I think one of the things that I have learned is that even though I have a large family, more actually equals less. And that means that we are tight on time, we're tight on money, we're tight on resources. And that has actually led us to a lot of creativity. We have to be, creative about our budget. We have to be really thoughtful about our time and how we spend it and where we spend it. And as far as resources, we do have to say no to certain things to our kids. And we explain why, and they understand that. And we have to be creative with fun. We're looking at free things versus having to pay for things. And I think that's something that can be applied to any size family. Another lesson that is really important in our house is teamwork. As a large family, we all have to work together or we don't make it out of the house. That is just how it goes. Now, when I mean teamwork, I'm not saying that my older children parent my younger children. We're very thoughtful and conscious of the fact that even our oldest children are kids. They're our kids. They're not parents. So we really are thoughtful about the chores and the things that we ask them to do. But everybody does have a role. And I think that that has really created a community just in our family. And they take ownership of things. And the chores and the things that we ask them to do are definitely age appropriate and things like that. But it just has really created a teamwork philosophy. And I see that when they're playing sports, I see that when they're going to school, that they do understand that they're part of a larger entity. And I think talking about how more actually equals less, I think talking about the time that we're able to spend with our kids, we really try and focus on small moments, like when we're driving a child solo to a practice or at night when we're reading a bedtime story, that is an opportunity for us to connect. We can't take our kids out to a large amusement park, but we can do these little small things that also lead to connections. And I think thinking about budget, I think we're all right now in a crunch, thinking about inflation and everything that's happening economically and globally. And large families are fantastic at being really creative with our budget. We meal plan, we think about our expenses, we see what can we ask a neighbor for that they may have that they're done with. What can we do with online communities like Buy Nothing, where we can get things that people are done with. Secondhand stores, or thrift stores. My kids have actually love going thrifting to get their clothes. So I think that we're just really creative with budget and resources and time. And I think that that's something that can be applied to any size family.
Oh my gosh, Jane, what an amazing, amazing story. I always wanted to have 6 to 7 kids. I was only blessed with 3 and had always regretted it. What you have done is absolutely incredible. It sounds to me like you've got this little army of little people around you all the time. So, how many boys,
I
how
do.
many girls do you have? And
So
what
we
is
have
the age range?
yes, so we have 6 girls and 4 boys. Our oldest is 18. She's a freshman at college, and our youngest is 3.
Oh my goodness. Now, if there was another young woman who's listening to this interview right now, is thinking, I would love a big family. I don't know whether I can do it. Based on what has been your experience, what 3 nuggets of wisdom would you give
Mm.
her?
Okay, 3 nuggets of wisdom. I would say if you would like to have a large family, I think you have to develop a little bit of a tough skin because unfortunately, you will get a lot of judgment and comments from people, family and strangers. And it took me a long time to realize that I do not owe anybody an explanation or an apology for the size of my family. All of my kids are loved and wanted, and my family size is not your business. The second thing I would say is you have to have an amazing partner. I wouldn't be on this journey if I didn't have a spouse, a partner that was in it with me 100%. We, share the parenting duties, we share the household duties, all of those things. And then I think the third thing is you learn to let a lot of things go. And perfection definitely does not live in my house. And, things, are messy. They're not perfect. And I think that's something that I actually love. I love that it is messy and amazing all at the same time.
I love it. Things are just perfectly imperfect.
Yes, yes, definitely.
That is so beautiful. Now, your presence on social media and the impact it's had. Tell me a little bit about why you were resisting social media initially and what was the decision for you to start using social media?
Yes. So prior to 5 years ago, when I got on social media, it was one of those things where I just didn't really have an interest in being online. And my husband had a pretty large online presence, so I would check on friends and family through him. And then actually, I got on right when my ninth was born, and I just was really looking for a community. In our area, we didn't know any other large families. All of our friends had one, two, three, four children was the largest. And it was immediately amazing to connect with large family moms all over the world and just moms in general all over the world. And I really felt that I was making a community. And during COVID, this online community became my real community. And it really helped me through some hard times. And I've had a lot of people that are in my community that have been there since day one when I first launched my page and are still here now. And we've been able to watch each other's children grow and, help each other, over the distance. And it's just been an amazing experience. I have also felt the negative side of social media. Thankfully, the bulk of my experience has been positive, but I have had a couple of posts and reels that have gone viral, and the trolls have definitely come out in spades. And it was really difficult at first. But then I, kind of learned that it was about them. It wasn't about me. They really don't know me. So I was able to kind of let things go and develop a thicker skin.
Yeah, they say that when you put yourself out there, there's a 33% rule that 33% of people will absolutely love everything you stand for. You've got to be prepared for the haters because 33% of people will hate you for no
Yeah.
reason whatsoever. And then the other 33% are just totally indifferent to whatever it is you're doing. So that's
You know
really
what?
good advice.
It is actually really good advice. And I wish somebody had probably told me that five years ago. But honestly, that has been my experience.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
And,
thankfully,
and what you think of me is your business. That's my mantra.
yes,
It's got
yes,
nothing to do with me.
yes. And I wish that I would have figured that out sooner, but I have figured it out, and it's definitely has made things easier.
Easier. Yes, yes. And so now, what is the journey for Jane and her beautiful kids and family?
You know
What's
what?
in the horizon for you?
That's such a great question because I sort of feel like, so our youngest is 3 and he's now potty trained. So we're out of diapers and we're out of that baby stage. And I think I'm now trying, and I have 9 out of my 10 kids are at school. So I have some time to think about what I want and what I would like to do in this next chapter. And I've really struggled because my identity has been so wrapped up in, having babies and toddlers, and, that takes up so much of, my time and me. And now I'm trying to figure out what is it that I want? What would I like to do next? So I'm still working on that and figuring that out.
I love it. Yeah, I know when I had my 3, I felt like I blinked. They grew up and somebody had
Mhm.
swallowed my babies. It
Yes.
does go really, really fast. And then you're kind of caught flat-footed when the kids have left the house. It's like, who am I now? What am I going to do? So you still got a
Yes,
bit of time to figure it out, but
I
yeah,
do.
you can then just focus on something that you're really passionate about or something you always wanted to do and just go for it.
Yes.
That is awesome. Now, in terms of coordinating the duties, the things that need to be done in the
Mhm.
home, I know when I moved to New Zealand, I was out here alone without family, without friends, and my kids would pick up little chores.
Mhm.
One would, clear the dishes when we have dinner, one would wash them. And people were amazed at how much my children helped in the house. I didn't ask them, but it just became a way of life and the way we did things in our home. How do you find that with your children and in comparison to their friends and their peers?
I would say that I think that our children probably have more responsibilities than their peers do just because of the makeup of our family. But I also think that there's so many learned things that come with that are just amazing. Like I think similar to you, our kids do a lot of things just intuitively. They know that there's a lot of us, so it's really helpful when they clean up after themselves, when they, pick out their clothes the night before for school, when they clean up after themselves at meals. We do have some chores that we assign, but it's been pretty amazing to see how some of them just really intuitively know what needs to happen. And again, as I said, teamwork is something that's so important to us. We wouldn't be able to get out the door in the morning if we didn't have teamwork. So yeah, I mean, it really is, teamwork makes the dream work. That's and I'm not saying that my kids happily do all these chores. There's definitely grumbles and things like that. But if I look at my oldest, who's now a freshman in high school, she left our house knowing how to do her own laundry, knowing how to cook a few meals, knowing how to make her doctor's appointments. I think that there are some really important things about having chores, responsibilities, and being able to do things independently for life skills.
Definitely imparted some excellent life skills in your kids. You're right. A lot of kids, by the time they're teens, they don't even know how to do their own laundry, let alone take care of themselves. So that's truly, truly empowering. Now, you probably have multiple personalities in your home with your kids. I know just with my three, they are all so different. It's hard for me to keep up with three. How do you do it with your 10 kids? Are they very, very different in their temperament and ways of being?
Yes. So we have 10 kids that have all been raised by the same parents in the same environment, and they are all completely different. And being an only child, I would never have understood that going into this, but living it, it's just amazing. They really are their own people. And I have some that get along with each other better than others. I have some that are kind of more oil and water. And it's just really interesting to see them navigate that because we're all in the same house. We need to coexist together. And it's really interesting to see them, interact with each other and figure out ways to make it work. And I think all of my kids will be really good college roommates because they understand what it takes to live with somebody that you may not love all the time.
I love it. And you can't choose your family, right?
That's right. That's right. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, and we talk about this a lot. At the end of the day, you have, when we say to our kids, you have 9 other people that have your back. I don't think that there's many people that can say that. Like how
Yeah,
amazing that no matter what happened, you have these people, these brothers and sisters who are your brothers and sisters for life. You may not always be best friends. You
yeah.
may not always like each other, but at the end of the day, you have these people that are there for you.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, let me take you into the future. Let's have a little thought experiment here.
Okay.
If time was an illusion and I could teleport you to the 100-year-old you,
Oh gosh.
and you are sitting in your rocking chair, surrounded by your beautiful kids, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren, and you could have a conversation with the future Jane, this amazing woman, this mother who has brought so many into the world, and just sit with her for a while. What would you say to her based on how you've lived your life?
I think I would say to her, that you have created this amazing family and you did the best that you could at the time with what you had, and you kept learning. You parented all these different personalities, all these different children, and you didn't always get it right every day. But you got up the next day and you did it again, and you tried to do things better that next day. So be kind to yourself. You did the best that you knew how, and you loved them. You loved them with all your heart.
The reason why I always ask this question, Jane, is that a lot of women don't realize that that wise woman is already within us.
Mm.
She is guiding us every single step of the way. And when things get really hard and you're not sure what you're doing, if you can tap into the energy of the future you and see yourself at the age of 100, she's guiding you there. She's already here with you. So I love women to be able to see the power that is within them, because the choices we make in life are based on our abilities and our skills. You knew you had the ability to have a big family and to coordinate and to juggle and to do all of those amazing things that you do. You knew it. You knew you had the capacity to do it. And so here you are. I absolutely love that. How have you stayed so slim? I am very, very jealous. I only had 3. I could never lose the weight. I used to be 52 kilos when I was pregnant with all 3 of my kids. But as I reached menopause, I've just packed on weight. And so do you exercise? Is it just something genetic? Give me your secret.
So I think it's a combination of factors. So I think, unfortunately, having HG during my pregnancies meant that I didn't gain very much weight during my pregnancies, and I lost what little I did gain quickly. But also, too, I'm just an active person. And for me, exercise is such a great stress reliever. That has been my me time. My husband, for the bulk of our married life, has traveled. And that meant that he was gone every single week. So going to the gym with 5 or 6 little kids in tow, that's how I had 45 minutes to myself. That's how I got a shower. So exercise is definitely my stress reliever and, helps me with my mental health.
That's incredible. I love that. That's how I get my shower.
Yes, honestly.
So the gyms actually have facilities for the kids to play while you're doing your thing?
Yes. And it was amazing. I don't,
beautiful.
Yes. Now that we have moved out west and more of my kids are in school, I go to a different type of gym facility. But when I had a lot of little guys, that was the type of gym that I went to, and it was amazing. And the childcare facility, those people that worked there, they were part of my village. They helped me, make it through those times.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that children are raised by a village and not just 2 individuals. It was the people that you had in your inner circle.
Yes. And we have been so lucky to have an amazing village of friends. And, that's really honestly, I'm not 100% sure that I'd be here with 10 kids if it wasn't for our village of friends who were amazing in so many times of need.
Wow. Now, is there anything, Jane, I should have asked you and I didn't? What are your parting thoughts for community today?
I think we covered a lot of ground. I'm not sure that we left too many stones unturned. I feel like a lot of my story.
That is awesome. I always ask that question just in case there's just one little thing. So people can follow you on Instagram. I have your Instagram handle scrolling at the bottom of the screen. You're also on Facebook. So if anybody's inspired to connect with Jane, please reach out to this amazing, incredible mom.
I have a great community of people online, and I would love for you to be part of it.
Fantastic. Jane, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence and sharing your story with us today. It just so inspires me. I have great adoration for what you've managed to achieve. I wish I had kept going with my little 3. I regret it now. I always regret that I should have had another one. Well, that wasn't my journey. Thank you for being who you are, for motherhood, and just showing all of us what is possible if you have passion.
Thank you so much for having me. I have just been inspired by you and by your story. And I've always just been intrigued by women and the stories that they have. I feel that all of us have a story to share. And thank you for letting me share mine.
It's an absolute honor. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is attracting some pretty cool and phenomenal women. Those who have a focus on family and relationships, like Jane. We have women in business and entrepreneurship, health and wellness, social justice, spirituality. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing woman. Jane is going to be one of our speakers for the first in-person Her Story conference in Washington, D.C. in March 2023. So watch this space. Come and meet this amazing woman. Jane, thank you again for the interview. Bye for now, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
And that's a wrap, everybody, on today's episode of the Diversity Connector podcast. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our vibrant and global conversation. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a tapestry of diverse perspectives. Remember, every story you've heard today is a thread in the larger fabric of our shared humanity. So, as you step back into your world, carry these stories with you and let them inspire you to embrace and celebrate the rich diversity around us. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these inspiring stories with more listeners. Do follow us on social media by looking for the Diversity Connector podcast for more updates. Until then, keep connecting, keep listening, and keep celebrating the beauty of diversity. This is the Diversity Connector podcast signing off. Stay curious, stay open, and definitely